tradition.
Separated by cosmic cabinets, Brandon, Paul, and Logan are broadcasting the Breakdown Podcast live using their telepathic powers. My name is Brandon Miracle, broadcasting live from the Break Room Arcade. If you look south of me in the video version, you'll see the wonderful and beautiful face of Paul Anderson, broadcasting live from the Break Room Clubhouse. If you look to the right of me in the video version, you'll see the wonderful, inquisitive face of Logan Welliver, broadcasting live from the Break Room Bedroom. This is the Breakdown Podcast. It's, what is the date today? August 5th?
6th.
August 6th, 2018. This is the 25th
Brandon's had a long day. You'll
episode.
have to forgive him.
25th episode of the Breakdown Podcast. It's our silver anniversary.
Silver anniversary.
We've been together for so long.
Man, and I can tell you guys this. I love you guys each and more. Each and every day.
More.
A little bit more. Each and more every day. That's how excited I am about you guys, because you guys are so beautiful, and I'm so glad to be doing this with you guys. And we've been doing it for 25 weeks straight.
Years.
Also, I found out there was a +10 gain filter on my mic for the last 3 months that I just turned off, so I probably sound a lot better to you guys at home.
I mean, you didn't sound bad. Like, I was listening back to some of the discussions that we had earlier, and you didn't sound bad. You were just, I think you sounded a little bit more compressed and hot.
Logan, you're the one who made me do that.
To what? Add, +10 gain?
You're the one who had me add the gain. We workshopped this together.
Well, you did something that I did not tell you to do. And you didn't sound bad.
No, but you could hear my computer, which is several feet away from me. But...
Right. Yeah, you're probably compressed a little bit.
Yeah, so we should sound a little bit nicer. Today's episode of the Breakdown Podcast, we got quite a bit to talk about. If you've seen the thumbnail,
mention it's episode 25?
I did mention it was episode 25. Today's episode, Winnie the Pooh and the Arcade 2. So with that said, you know what? Let's start with that today. Logan,
That's a good place.
You and I saw Christopher Robin.
Not together, but yeah, we saw it.
We didn't see it together, but we did see it individually.
I feel like we saw it together, like in our hearts.
You're right.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Because it was a really special movie, right?
Way to not invite me, guys, to your little heart screening.
So and now here's something I was curious about, but I haven't gotten around to looking up. Is this story based on a pre-existing story that was written by the author of Winnie the Pooh, or is this something just completely new?
I believe this is original.
Okay, because they definitely drew from some source material. Like, for example, the very beginning when Christopher Robin is still a child and they're all saying goodbye to him, and he says that he doesn't want to do nothing ever again. As far as I know, that's pulled from one of the Winnie the Pooh books.
That whole segment, I believe, is pulled right from the ending of the book, and also the ending of the original animated movie. So yeah, I thought that was nice, because it's like, oh man, okay, we're not just basing this off of, willy-nilly. And they're like, okay, well, we got to fill in this space. Well, he is a willy-nilly old bear. I mean, right. So I thought, I'll just say this outright. I was very much charmed by this film. I definitely cried. Part of that was nostalgia, and part of that was just this is a very genuine, heartwarming film. This is like, it's like another Paddington, except it strikes my heart a little harder because it's Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, I mean, that's the best comparison you can make, really, because the UK has Paddington and we have Winnie the Pooh, even though Winnie the Pooh is also a UK property, technically. Right. But he's so much bigger over here than someone like Paddington. Yeah. Yeah, I like you, I really liked that whole opening sequence. I could definitely pinpoint lines that were being spoken that I had either read or heard before in other animated classics. Right. And I appreciated that a lot. When they're kind of skipping through Christopher Robin's life during the prologue segment, they like flip through pages of a book. Then you see a hand-drawn version drawn in the original Winnie the Pooh illustration style, and then it, transforms into the live-action segment. You see what happens in Christopher's life, and then the next chapter starts. And they named each chapter too, which I thought was nice. Aww.
So, yeah, this movie apparently has been very polarizing online.
I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, it wasn't this incredible film and in terms of just the standards of like good filmmaking. It was par, you know, it wasn't a poor film. But I just enjoyed it so much. I don't know what's so polarizing about the film itself.
It in terms of theme and what the film is striving to be, it definitely spoke directly to me. And you know, this is a really relatable story. If you've watched Toy Story 3 or if you've seen Hook, you've seen this story before, but you know, not with these characters. The characters, though, actually might be one of the main criticisms I have of the movie in the first place. They really don't get a lot of screen time, actually. Pooh Bear gets a ton of screen time.
Tons of screen time.
But all of the tertiary characters, including Piglet, Tigger, Eeyore, they get a very small segment of screen time in the overall film. And I also need to criticize the trailer, or one of the trailers too, because they pitched the movie as the Winnie the Pooh characters coming out of the 100-acre wood and going into the big city, the last 15 to 20 minutes of the movie.
Right, yeah.
Kind of misleading, and that could possibly be contributing to why, you know, scores are a little lower on the critic side.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember watching, like, the first, like, teaser trailer, and then I think maybe there was the second trailer, which I don't remember terribly well, because I think at that point I was like, I'm going to see this film already. Like, I don't need to dig too deep into the trailers. I don't like digging into trailers. I just, if there's something
I should clarify, I didn't see that particular trailer until after I'd seen the movie.
But yes, right. So I could see that. There's such a thing as a good and bad trailer, and that's different than just, okay, is it entertaining? Does it draw you in? Because a good trailer is also representative of the final product. You know,
that initial trailer we did see, I think, was very representative of the final product.
Yeah,
that shot where Christopher first sees Pooh for the first time in all these years, one of the earlier moments in the movie. And it fits the vibe and the general tone of the rest of the film. You'll find that Christopher himself is a lot more cynical than you might have expected, you know, going into this. There is one scene in particular that was like a real stab in the heart to me.
I think I know which one you're talking about too.
Yeah.
Is that like first like really rough scene in the 100-acre woods?
Oh
yeah.
That was a stab to the heart.
I can't believe he just said all of that, you know.
Yeah, Pooh says one line at the end of that hit me like a brick. I feel like I got hit by a freight train.
Yeah. There's just so much good stuff about this movie. If you're just looking for a really relaxed time and some good feelings and a very cuddly bear, you know, then this movie's kind of where it's at. I really enjoyed it. There was one part that really, and this is a minor spoiler, there's a few.
Whoa, man.
Yeah. And it happens throughout the movie is their quotes on nothing, right? So Winnie the Pooh starts talking about how nothing is his favorite thing to do, and that nothing oftentimes leads to the best kind of something, right? And I think that's relatively profound, right? Because what's not being suggested is that nothing happens all the time. But sometimes when you do nothing, you know, and you don't have any expectations for what you're going to do, sometimes that's when the creative juices start to flow and you figure out, oh, what am I going to do? So, I mean, I guess that's how I figured out. Like, it inspired me to make a video on my personal channel, and I just titled the video, this video is about nothing. And so I literally just started with that, and then I made a piece of content and I uploaded it. And that's all thanks to Winnie the Pooh. So go see Winnie the Pooh if you want to feel inspired and make great videos.
Yeah, great family film. Definitely see it with your loved ones. Just a good time. Another good live action adaptation from Disney.
I'll come up to where you are, Paul, and we'll go see it together. Well,
I've been pretty impressed with Disney's live action offerings of their, classic IP so far. I
was particularly impressed with this entry.
Yeah, so was I. I thought Beauty and the Beast was pretty good. The Jungle Book is fantastic if you haven't seen The Jungle Book, which makes me incredibly excited for The Lion King, which is my favorite Disney movie. Very excited about that. Is that Donald Glover for Simba, I think? Was that it?
Yes.
That's so good. I can't wait.
It's very exciting. It's I think part of the reason that's so exciting is because because of how special The Lion King is to a lot of people. It's such a classic. And so to touch such a classic IP and then turn it into something completely different, as opposed to just following it up, with the same animation style, that's pretty safe, right? So Lion King 2 and Lion King 1.5, right? So getting a live remake, it's always scary, but also the prospect is really exciting because if it is live, it's just, maybe it'll tell a little bit different of a story, even though it's going to be largely the same.
Who was it that played Mufasa? James Earl Jones?
Yes.
And he's returning to play Mufasa in the live action version.
Is he?
Yeah.
God bless.
I thought he died.
No. Just because people are old doesn't mean they're dead, Paul.
I could have been wrong about that, but I thought that was the case.
Well, I'll look it up.
I hear so much typing right now.
On. I know, I'm sorry. Thankfully, this isn't a true, mechanical keyboard. Otherwise, it'd be uber clacky.
I'm not saying that I want him to be dead, but I remember being heartbroken because I could have sworn I heard he was.
Yep, James Earl Jones. Matthew Broderick? Did Matthew Broderick do... Yes, Simba. That's weird to think about. I've never thought in my life about Simba's voice actor. That, I don't know, that kind of throws me for a loop, realizing that it's Matthew Broderick. But yes, James Earl Jones was Mufasa.
And he's still alive.
And he is still alive. He is...
Well, this is a good day, guys. James Earl Jones has been reborn for me.
Was that a confirmation that he'll be playing Mufasa again?
That was the original cast. As far as the remake, CGI remake, Lion King 2019 film, he is listed as, he is reprising his role as Mufasa right there.
Perfect.
Donald Glover as Simba and Beyonce as Nala. What a world we live in.
I'm very into all of that.
Yeah.
2019 is the future. Good question about Christopher Robin, though.
Yeah.
Did they leave it open at the end for a sequel with Winnie the Pooh and this Downy Bunny?
What?
Are you not familiar with the bunny from the Downy commercials? Fabric softener?
I don't think so. Downy Bunny. A lot of Googling in today's episode.
Well, Downy Bear, but...
Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with the Downy Bear. I was like, what is a Downy Bunny?
It's a Monday? Okay.
Yeah, apparently. Well, let's move on to the other movie I saw over this weekend, being 8th Grade, which was directed and written by Bo Burnham.
8th Grade. I want to see this movie super bad.
If you don't know who Bo Burnham is, just look him up on YouTube. It won't take long to find out, but he's a musician and a comedian. And 8th Grade is pretty much its namesake. It is about an 8th grade girl who's finishing up her year and all of the awkwardness and life lessons that come along with that. But it's very real. It's very in tune with the way things are, and the script in particular is fantastic. Everything is really well performed. I can't remember his name, but the father the guy who plays the father in the movie is also the father in 13 Reasons Why. His name escapes me for right now.
Okay.
But great performances all around, and just the way they capture adolescence and some even anxiety in some situations. Like there's a scene where she is invited over to this big pool party with all of her former classmates, and she's stuck inside of the bathroom having a nervous breakdown before going outside into the pool to meet everybody because she doesn't have any friends.
Right.
And just the way they play with sound and the way they play with the visual imagery all ties together super well and really conveys some impressive messages in this movie. I would highly recommend anybody see this movie.
Yeah, this one's been on my list a few weeks before it had its premiere in like New York and LA. So I've been waiting for several weeks for it to come to theaters near me, and it finally has. So I plan on going to see that this week. The one thing I can say about it, the one thought I had about it was just a lot of the promo art, a lot of the stills from the trailers and stuff like that. The main character, the 8th grade girl, I just thought this movie's so fascinating to me because a lot of the times you'll get like, these very pristine, pretty versions of reality, especially with like movies. And so you'll get all the actors and they'll have all their makeup and they'll look nice. Whereas like every time I see this trailer or I see a still of the main actress, she's just riddled with acne and she's just very not what a lot of people would be like, oh, an ideal, like in the 8th grade, like she wouldn't be the girl that you would be into unless you're weird, right? So I don't know. It was a good casting. It was a good casting decision.
I don't know about you guys. Every time I see the trailer for this movie, I just have like a PTSD flashbacks of middle school and how awkward I was. It terrifies me.
See, I watched this movie and saw myself in high school. I breezed through middle school, but high school was where I saw myself in this movie. So it's relatable, by the way.
I only spent 1 year. So I spent my 8th grade year in middle school and in public school because I was homeschooled before then. That was pretty awkward because I'd never been in that sort of setting before where I was going class to class and I had a locker and all these people around me. And so I felt that anxiety. I always kind of had to push past it. And thankfully I had outlets in like a high school, like choir and theater where I could make those closer friends, even though I don't have a ton of close friends from high school. A lot of those came from college, i.e. Brandon and Paul, these two cool dudes that I know pretty well.
I survived by just not talking to people.
That's how the main character survives in this movie. Don't do that.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see this film, and I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I anticipated that. One of my favorite movies of the year. And the fact that it was written and directed by Bo Burnham is super impressive to me because I am a big fan of his work just in general. So to know that he is also good at doing this makes me excited for his future.
Yeah. So I watched the H3 podcast with him on recently. So he had the movie that was coming up, and then him and Ethan Klein got, cozy over Twitter and scheduled a podcast, and he talked a lot about the movie, and it was really interesting to see him talk about it and his passion as a filmmaker, because when he started on YouTube, his main thing was he wanted to make films, he wanted to make video, and so what kind of stuck was the music and the comedy, which was part of it, right, but it wasn't the whole thing. And so for him to be able to achieve this accomplishment and so masterfully as well, it's really cool to see kind of Bo Burnham kind of coming into his own, because he's finally getting to the point where a lot of people will in a sense peak or create their best stuff. Not that they won't create better stuff or stuff that's on par with their best stuff down the line, but he's 29 now. So if this isn't, then we're going to have a lot to look forward to in the next few years. And even if it is, we're going to have a lot to look forward to from Bo Burnham in the next few years. That's just going to be fantastic, right?
Another thing of this movie that stuck out to me was the film's soundtrack.
Okay.
It was a little synthy, a little electronic. I was actually wondering if Bo Burnham himself had anything to do with the film's soundtrack, because it reminded me of his music.
Right. I would imagine that at the very least he'd have some oversight.
Oh, I heard like every day that I went to school was just synths in the back of my head.
And I would be remiss to not mention that the main character, Kayla, is a YouTuber, and she makes vlogs with life advice. And for the majority of the movie, the advice that she's giving is the advice that she wished she would be taking in her day-to-day experiences. So oftentimes you'll have a scene with her take place, and you'll hear a 3-beep signal, and then it will cut to her YouTube video where she's talking about how to get through this particular situation. It's really well crafted. And also, you know, just that makes it even more relatable knowing that she's uploading videos to an audience that doesn't hear her.
Right. And like, yeah, it's a story for the generation, right? So now we're getting all these younger directors and content creators who are entrenched in this culture. And so now it's starting to be reflected in the art more often, you know, even with something like, the way they display text messages in modern movies, right? So all these stories that are set in modern times, and everybody's got their phones, and all of a sudden like an image pops up on the screen after the shot showing what's happening in the conversation, you know? So, but this feels like it comes from a much more genuine place, and I have a lot of respect for Bo. So
don't sleep on this movie.
It's
my highlight of the week, by the way. And that's everything that I watched this week.
Well then, my turn. all I've really watched this last week. I managed to fit in Black Mirror, and I got caught up on that. And I gotta say that season 4 finale is quite the episode. I think the title of it was Black Museum. And so there's these nice little Easter eggs hidden throughout that museum of all the different episodes.
Okay.
And all the tragedies connected to that. I loved that.
So I totally forgot that I actually watched this past week as well. Because I hadn't seen all of the latest season. I had watched like maybe 2 or 3 of the episodes and then just kind of forgot about it. And then we were sitting around and Johnny was like, "Oh, we should watch Black Mirror. Black Mirror is really good." I'm like, "I know, Johnny. I know Black Mirror is pretty good." And he's like, "But have you seen this one? Have you seen Black Museum? It's a really good episode." Like, "Johnny, I haven't seen Black Museum. Should we watch it right now?" He goes, "Yeah, we should watch it right now." And then we did. And I really liked it.
Yeah, it's kind of like this all-encompassing episode.
Yeah.
It was a nice way to wrap up that last season.
I hate bringing up controversy all the time, but this was another polarizing episode in the community. There was like half the people didn't like that they tied everything together, and the other half of the community is like, "I'm glad that they tied everything together," and I'm just like, I don't care. It was a good episode. Yeah,
it was a good episode. It's a well-crafted
nice
episode. When you said I'm going to bring up, I don't want to bring up controversy, I thought you were going to say something about like the actual like themes of the episode, and like,
I mean, it's controversial in nature, but outside of that.
But that's the point, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you have to wrestle with the ideas, because like, for example, so this guy does all these awful things, and then he, traps these consciousnesses in these different bottles of sort, not actual bottles, but containers. One's a teddy bear, and then another is just like a holographic projection, and it's real screwed up. And then obviously it turns out at the end that this girl is all like, "I'm onto you, and you got hot and sweaty because I like poisoned you." Like, nice, gotcha. But then like there's that question of like, well, how did you feel about her justice, right? How did you feel about her actions? Because
there was only one part of what she did that I thought was a little weird.
Okay.
And that was more or less to torment the person who tormented others.
Yes.
But in doing so, she also caused torment to the people that were being tormented, in a way.
What do you mean?
Well, her father. If you think about the last thing she did.
Oh, right.
Granted, that was more for
also,
like mercy.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's different because if you're doing it again and again and again and again, and you're getting some sense of pleasure around it, that's screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this was like he's already here and he can't think. He's so messed up, and so here I'm gonna end it, you know, because he can't be saved at this point. There's no redemption. So, so put aside all the moral stuff about what she did, right? You could argue that, you know, maybe her reaction was a little bit too strong, and that she was too vengeful. But besides all that, her execution was really good.
Yeah, it was
like she really pulled it off.
I think this episode kind of represents a structure that they've used a couple different times that I really like, where they flash back to things, different events, and then slowly unravel the larger story.
Like
the one
Christmas
where
episode.
Yeah.
I love this. So any sort of movie or episode of a show that's structured as an anthology, I dig any sort of anthologies. For example, there is a film called Tales from the Hood. Okay, and it starts off with all these guys, and they go into a building, and they go into a funeral home, and the funeral director just starts telling all these stories and entertaining them, and so he tells several stories about all these weird like horror stories. A lot of them have to deal with Black culture, and they're really funny and over the top, and it turns out at the end that they're like the funeral home's actually hell and that they're all dead. And so I don't know. I really like when you can just tell a bunch of stories at once, you know, and then no one story overstays their welcome.
And
right?
That's what Black Mirror is as a whole. And then you have these episodes that are just anthologies in themselves.
Yeah.
It's like the show getting meta in a way.
Right.
They work well.
Yeah.
I think the episode before that, there was the scavengers and like the robot dogs
chasing
after them.
That's one of my favorites.
I thought it was kind of weird.
I mean, they're all weird.
I liked the implications of it, and I actually loved how little they tell you. They just kind of throw you into it, and you're kind of left to infer a lot. And so I like that approach to it, but the only other episode I watched this last week was the one where they're in like the dating simulation.
Oh yeah,
and they keep getting sent on dates. I thought that one was actually probably my favorite of the three that I watched.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I mean, every episode's like an M. Night Shyamalan movie where there's a big twist at the end, I feel like, for all of them.
Except they're more consistently good.
Yeah. Stance Punk says, it's Wednesday, my dudes. I wish it was Wednesday, my dude, but it's not Wednesday, my dude.
Yeah, we're going to have a busy day on Wednesday morning.
Anything else
Wednesday in here.
Anything else about Black Mirror, Paul?
Nope, that was it.
That'll bring us into our anime segment. And I am slowly going through Naruto. I had to take quite a long break because life's been getting really busy. So I'm still getting through the good old final arc of part 1. It's still good.
It will never not be good, let's be honest.
Yeah. I've got maybe 6 or 7 episodes left in part 1 of Naruto, and I can move on to Naruto Shippuden. I wrote Boruto down here, but I realized that I forgot to watch Boruto. In fact, I forgot to watch every anime this week. I didn't watch My Hero Academia either.
Oh, I didn't watch the My Hero episode either. Wait, which episode was this week?
The episode after they practiced their special moves.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I forgot about it altogether. Evo was over the weekend, and that pretty much took over what I did.
Right.
So yeah, I watched Evo.
That, yeah.
You know, I started it, but now that I think about it, I don't remember how the episode of My Hero ended this week. So maybe I didn't finish it.
We'll have to talk about that next week then.
Yeah.
Well, you guys get 2 episodes next week.
Yeah, and you'll get 2 episodes of Boruto from me. But Paul, you've been watching Boruto.
I watched a lot of Boruto.
Good lord.
I was like maybe 5 episodes deep, and now I'm like 50 episodes deep.
Wow.
It's been a busy few days.
Are you officially into the movie arc?
Next episode starts the movie
Okay,
arc. I got everything up to that.
Paul, before you go on, blink twice if you need help. Okay, you've been watching too many Boruto episodes. Something's up, and we need to get
What happened was I had a bat in my house.
Can we get some prayers in the chat? Can we get some?
I held myself up in my room, and I just watched Boruto, and I let the bat just take over the rest of the house. He owns it now.
I thought the bat was gone.
Now it is.
Oh.
I let an actual adult handle the situation because it's not me. But around the bat trouble, which is a great story that I might tell you guys some other time. So far with Boruto, like I really enjoy a lot of the characters, especially like some of those like side characters. You really don't get much of them in the movie, and so it's nice to have some of them expanded and fleshed out because they're really good characters.
Mm-hmm.
The original arcs that they've come up with so far, I have not been too fond of.
The Waterfall Village arc is the worst thing ever. Or
the
Waves
exceptions that I have are the little one-shot chapters that got adapted. So like Sarada's backstory, Mitsuki's backstory, those two. Well, I guess one of them is just 1 episode long.
Naruto Gaiden is like a couple episodes long, right?
Yeah, those were some of my favorite episodes, and actually some of the animation in those were, surprisingly good.
The animation in Naruto Gaiden specifically, I was very impressed with. That was probably the first time in the series where I was legitimately getting hyped at what was happening on screen.
Yeah, the only thing I've seen like beyond that was on that level was from that 2 episodes ago, 65.
Yeah,
because I've seen bits and pieces of that fight, and that's pretty close to what I was seeing in that arc.
Episode 65 is God's ninja gift to mankind.
I watched that, and then I ended up 49 episodes deep into Boruto. that was the push I needed.
Have you seen the Shikadai arc?
Yes.
I thought the Shikadai arc was probably better among all the other ones.
Yeah, it had its moments. I'd say though that like the best arc that they've done like originally here was actually the graduation arc.
Yeah, the graduation arc's pretty good.
That was special.
I'll say this: my favorite arc in Naruto is the one where he wins. I think there's a lot of depth to that arc, and there's a lot of personality. Also, the animation got really good during that arc. It changed everything.
Dream Drop and Conman in the chat have said that a lot of people have been watching Naruto from the beginning recently. I haven't noticed that, but I guess I'm a sheep now. I'm part of the flock.
I feel like that might be Boruto. You know what I mean?
Or Boruto.
Like everybody's either excited about it, or
everybody found out about his kid. Now they want to see. They want to see Boruto's dad.
They saw that episode. They saw that clip of episode 65, and they're like, "Oh man, maybe I've been missing stuff."
Right. I mean, it was kind of like me with Dragon Ball. Right. At some point, like I was just like, I can't stay away any longer. It was after the after Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, that whole weekend where we went and saw Resurrection F, and I was like, I don't know what Dragon Ball is, but I saw Battle of Gods, so I know now. And then
I remember you watching Battle of Gods, and afterwards you were like, I think I like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and then it turns out that I just like shonen. I like anime characters fighting and battling and cooking at each other. So.
Pushing past your limits. Plus Ultra!
I still get chills whenever I watch Battle of Gods and you get to that scene where Beerus is chucking all of the rocks at Goku, and Goku's in his base form, and he just like shouts, "I will not let you destroy my world!" And he goes Super Saiyan, and the music kicks up, and I'm like, yes.
Also, I did remember how this week's episode of My Hero Academia ends, so I did watch it all.
Okay, that's good.
For whatever reason, shouting plus ultra reminded me.
The brain's weird like that.
Moment.
It's not like some perfect catalog of memories and images. It's like this mess of jumbled information, and sometimes you just need the right key. So
Conman
getting excited about plus ultra.
Also says, everyone's been saying Sun and Moon is good, and it really is. I can confirm. I'm enjoying the more chill nature of the flow and how it's more involved on the world of Pokemon instead of just Ash battling. And also the new animation style makes for a welcome change for me. I love the reactions they do for gags. Sun and Moon is a very pretty anime. The battles are really cool to look at, and yeah, just like the basic expressions are fantastic.
You're a really pretty anime.
No, Sun and Moon is. Sorry. I don't compare.
Do you, though?
No, I don't.
You're just being modest.
No, I really don't. So...
Who's Ash?
Ash Ketchum, otherwise known as Satoshi.
You mean Ash Ketchup.
Ash
Tasty.
Ketchup. Delicious.
Tasty.
There's my joke for the Breakdown podcast. We don't
His
need
only
to go
one.
any further. We've peaked.
He met his quota. He's done.
Thanks for tuning in.
So getting back to Boruto.
Okay.
I'm really excited for this next arc, and like what you're saying about how everybody's going back and watching Naruto. I'm actually pretty darn close to going back and restarting Naruto. It just made me so nostalgic seeing like that like newly graduated Genin level.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that part 1, re-experience that from Naruto's eyes and just kind of compare the experience.
And then you can say how much of a loser Naruto is, because man, he's such a loser.
Compared
Until
to
he isn't.
I will say though, like I'm interested to see the movie arc more now, because the way they present Boruto in the movie originally, I don't know if that like holds up to the version that they've been portraying him up to now. If that makes sense. Because to some degree, he seems more dependable than they made him out to be.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really get a sense for Boruto. I mean, in the movie, they do specify, or they do point out that he's a great ninja and that he's more skilled than his dad. It's easier to justify that with the anime because you actually get to see that before you get to the climax of the film.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. To me, like, I see why he's at odds with his dad and why his dad's at odds with him. But at the same time, like, I feel like Naruto himself has such a small frame of reference for his son, and that he really like unfairly judges him.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, he grew up without parents. Naruto didn't. I don't know. Naruto didn't have a father, so he naturally, I don't think he would know how to be a dad. Yeah.
I mean, he does admit that at least, so I give him props for that. Like, at least you're not doing like as great as you could be, but.
Something that Goku never admits to his son.
I'm interested to see, like, following the arc too, just how their relationship grows from there. But namely, I'm just interested to see, like, how that perception of Boruto we get from the movie holds up in the anime, since they expanded out.
Yeah. I think the anime does an incredible job with character relationships during this particular arc. And just in the show in general, like, I've been caring more about these side characters than I thought I would. And yeah, that's always a good sign. Conman says Boruto is just more Hot Topic than Naruto was at his age. You're right. So you watched Black Clover too, right?
Yep, they're. I think they're close to really diving into that next arc. In the meantime, this was the power up episode. I gotta learn a new skill. I gotta push past my limits, and then we can go to this place and do exciting stuff next week.
Okay, so just like a stopgap episode.
Yeah, there's been a couple, but I think that they're actually getting ready to have a pretty hype arc. That's the impression I'm getting from it. We'll see if it's true. But
and Logan, you've been watching JoJo.
Yeah, I didn't make a ton of progress on JoJo. I watched a handful of episodes. It's pretty zany. This arc is really, really zany because of the stands, right? They're always weird. So at a certain point,
they're traveling to, you know, find Dio and defeat Dio, and so they can save Jojo's mother, who also has a stand, but she's not strong enough to handle it, and it's going to kill her, right? So on their way, they're running into all these guys, and these recent episodes, there was one episode that stuck out to me. It was actually a two-parter where they ran into a stand user, and his was the weakest stand. Like his stand is literally like a bug that's like that big and can fit inside your brain, right? And that's exactly what it does. It fits inside your brain. So any damage that is done to the stand user is also done like tenfold to the person who the stand is like controlling. So at one point it gets into Joseph Joestar, and he can't do anything, and he's writhing in pain, and they're trying to figure out a way to get it out of him, and he's just screaming. And he uses his stand to essentially project what's in his brain onto a television. And then after a bit, they're all just kind of standing there trying to figure this out. And they turn around and there's like a whole crowd behind them. They're like, what's happening? What's with this poor old man? And then they just start like, oh, we need to get out of here. And then all of a sudden they start pitying him because they think like that Joseph Joestar is their grandfather, and that his mental faculties are failing, and all this like zany stuff. They eventually just buy the TV and they leave, and eventually they win. So I think I'm down to like the last 5 episodes of this season, so we're about to see a Dio fight, and I'm so excited. JoJo's really good, and you all should watch it. Also, you guys should go on to Discord and talk to me about it if you have been watching it. That's all I have to say for JoJo this week. Thank you.
That brings us into the games. I've been playing No Man's Sky, just a little bit here and there as I have time. I think I talked about getting my freighter last time. So up till now, I've just been doing some resource gathering, and I started building my base on my freighter. I sent my freighter out on an expedition, or I guess I spent a frigate on an expedition, because you have a freighter, and then you can buy frigates that accompany the freighter. A really cool system they've built behind this.
So is it like a group of ships at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Logan, your face.
That was unexpected.
It happens. So yeah, that's really all I've been doing. I think I'm at the point now where I want to build a base. The galaxy I'm in has a planet that's very similar to Earth, except it always rains like burning hot rain that like burns and melts your skin off.
Right.
And fun.
It even says that in the game. Hey, your skin is burning and melting off. You should get somewhere safe.
The problem is it rains almost 24/7, so I barely have any time to actually get out there and build. So I have a series of tunnels underground that lead to my ship, so that I can resource gather, get underground, so I don't take damage.
I've done that on several occasions.
Yeah.
I've done this like, oh my, I'm not going to survive, and so I'll dig just beneath the surface where it's like more safe, and then I'll just dig towards my ship. I've done that on several occasions.
Conman said, "Oh, so it's the California planet." Jeez. But essentially, yeah. So that's really all I've been doing: just digging holes, gathering resources, building out the base on my freighter, and preparing to build a base on the planet itself. Kind of taking a break from the Atlas quest. The next step of the Atlas quest for me is actually to go to a different galaxy. So I think I want to take some time and just kind of get my bearings for a bit before I, jump ship again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with No Man's Sky. And once again, that's really all I've been playing, just for lack of time. It's because of you guys. I've been making stuff.
You had time to play anything? Wow, man.
Yeah, I also didn't play a ton this week. I played I probably played more No Man's Sky than you, Brandon. I played a lot with my brother on the survival mode, which is a lot more unforgiving. I have died on several occasions and lost many valuable resources and had to repair my equipment, and it's very frustrating. But also, when you progress, it feels that much more satisfying. So that's awesome. I want to keep playing more No Man's Sky. I want to get my freighter, and I want to get my frigates, and I want to start making some cash money in that game. Woo! Really great game. I'm so glad that they kept working on it because I'm enjoying it so much, especially with the multiplayer.
It's like Space Animal Crossing to me. It's really just it's a relaxing game for me to play.
It makes sense. Outside of No Man's Sky, I've been playing more Rocket League. What can I say?
Does the internet still not know how to play soccer?
No. Well, actually, so here's the difference is I've been playing a lot more of the competitive mode, the ranked mode, which is a lot more consistent.
You don't know how to play soccer now.
Right. Well, it's funny because the matches feel really well balanced in ranked, right? So everybody is at a certain level for the most part. The only frustrating thing is when people on your team, when you're like, oh, they made like 2 points and you're still at 0, and they're like, oh, we're not going to win, so we're going to vote to forfeit. And I'm like, I'm not a forfeiter. I don't forfeit. Which is worse because then they'll like leave. And in ranked, they don't replace the players with AI. So you're just down a player in that case, which is really frustrating. Like, what, you can't take a loss?
You go into any ranked mode, and that's where the toxic part of the community usually is.
Yeah. So it doesn't happen every time. And other times, the people who do stay in, they tend to be a lot more cordial and show a lot more sportsman-like conduct, you know? A lot of good games and a lot of congratulations for the other team when they make a good score or something like that.
But are there a lot of I use motion controls?
No, not quite. There's no motion controls, sadly, in Rocket League.
There will be Labo controls.
Huh?
They're going to add Labo controls, obviously.
Of course. It's the only way. So I'm still really, really enjoying Rocket League. Actually, something I've been really into Rocket League, part of it with last week, I'm jumbling over my words, as I have been really into the customization because I unlocked like a rare paint covering, which is like metallic pearl, and it looks really nice. And then I've unlocked most of the base customization pieces that don't come from crates or trading in toppers for more rare toppers or something like that, or paints or banners or whatever. So now I'm kind of getting into the part where if I really want to gain more items, I would have to pay money, right? Which I think at this point I'm invested, and I wouldn't mind spending a little bit on like a pack of keys at some point. I don't feel like I have to do it now, but if I like find myself in the next few months with a good amount of disposable income, and I also have like a ton of crates to unlock, because right now I have maybe 5 or 6 crates that are just sitting in my inventory. I think what'll happen is once that hits 20, I'll just like buy a pack of like 20 keys and just unlock all of them, you know?
Okay.
So
I've never bought a key. I've never been able to open a crate I've actually gotten in Rocket League.
Right. There was one of these events they had where you could use the event currency to buy encryptors, which are keys. The only difference is if you use the encryptors, it makes the item you get untradeable. So you can't trade up for a more rare item, and you also can't trade it. I don't know what other ways you would trade it. Maybe you can trade it peer-to-peer. I'm not sure. I've never thought about it like that. But I think this is the first game with crates and a system like this where I've ever actually felt compelled to purchase something, even though I haven't yet. I feel like I would feel that buying those keys would be like an okay purchase for me, where I'd be like, yeah, I think this is something I'd like to do, and I wouldn't be upset about it. Whereas I've never been into a game that has a crate system, a crate system like this, or loot box system. So this one works. I like Rocket League, and that's all I have to say.
Fair enough. And that brings us pretty much to the end of this week's show. We've been busy lately, so we're not filling out the lists that we have here on our website. That said, there's a reason for that, especially from me. I've been working on some stuff for you guys behind the scenes. In fact, I have a video coming out tomorrow that I'm very excited about, and I hope you guys like it. That's going to be an ongoing series that might go on forever. Who knows? So we'll see what happens. Check that out tomorrow. If you weren't here yesterday, we did a live prediction stream for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Direct that is taking place on Wednesday. So if you want to know what we're thinking is going to happen on Wednesday, make sure to check that out. Leave a like and listen to that, and tell us what you think is going to happen. Speaking of Wednesday, the plan is to do a live reaction stream to the Nintendo Direct. That said, that's not something I can guarantee is going to happen because it starts when I'm supposed to leave for work. So I can't make any guarantees that I will be present for that. I don't know if these two guys can handle that without me.
Oh, I'm planning on it. Oh, what? We can't handle it without you? What? Do you not believe in us, Brandon? Hey, can we get some people in the chat to push back on this person who is trying to tell us that we can't do all the things that we
tell Brandon off by subscribing.
He doesn't believe in us. What is this? We've been friends for how long, Brandon? And you still don't believe in me? And Paul too. You don't believe in the both of us. I'm offended. I'm so offended. I'm so upset. Let's kick Brandon out of the Break Room Arcade.
I am the Break Room Arcade. This is my channel.
Break Room Arcade? Okay.
Not anymore. It's Paul now. Paul's the Break Room Arcade.
I've ascended. Woo!
So look out for that. Regardless if the live stream for the Direct takes place at all, there will be a live stream discussion, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, about what we think in regards to everything that was announced. So don't worry. On Wednesday, we're going to be here, and we're going to be talking about Smash Ultimate, regardless of what happens. Dream Drop says, "You just gotta believe." Is that a SpongeBob quote?
Yay!
Other things we've been working on. Anything you guys have to announce or suggest or say?
That's cute. You think I have time?
Yeah. So
Yes.
I posted a video on the Break Room earlier this week about some of the Super Smash Bros. Music. I expect another one of those this week as well. Also, I've just been working on various types of content. I just uploaded a new video to my personal YouTube channel as well. That will also continue because we're going to take over the world. Break Room Arcade is going to take over the world.
Speaking of taking over the world,
we're going to be benevolent dictators. That's how it works, right?
We just surpassed the 500 subscriber mark yesterday during our live stream, so thank you to everyone who's made that possible. We've seen a substantial amount of growth in the last 6 months. Not even 6 months.
We love you.
So
tell your friends.
Thank you so much for that. The next goal for us is to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. So we're going to keep on pushing, keep on doing the content. Thank you guys for all your support for that. If you want to follow us, you can follow me at Babababs. You can follow Logan at LogiDubs. You can follow Paul at Gunnysaurus. Make sure to join our Discord. Link is in the video description. You can talk to us about anything you want. We got lots of rooms in there, and we're pretty much in there all the time. So don't feel afraid to speak to us. September 3rd, we got a special episode of the Breakdown Podcast. Excuse me if I don't choke to death. We're going to be having a special guest, Sean Chiplock, the voice of Revali, Tiba, and the Great Deku Tree in The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. The voice of Natsuki Subaru, the main character of ReZero, Life in Another World, currently being dubbed by Funimation, among other things. So you can look forward to that. Can't wait to have him on, talk to him about all that stuff. And once again,
if you have questions for him, Discord, ask us. We'll ask him.
And I'll continue to plug our Shokugeki no Soma stream with Roger. Eventually, Roger is going to have the time, and we'll get together, and we're going to do that. So
Shokugeki.
What if having free time is a myth?
I mean, I got a lot of videos done this week. I don't know what you're talking about.
All I see is the back end.
No, I feel that. That's why I hardly get to play any games anymore. It feels like if I'm not gaming for here, I hardly have time to game at all. It feels like
we're doing it for you. We love you.
So come back Wednesday for our Nintendo Direct live stream, as well as our discussion live stream that takes place after that in the evening. And then come back Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time for the Nintendo Stuff Podcast, where we do all the week's worth of Nintendo news. We're going to have a special guest on that show as well. We'll talk about that a little bit closer to the date. So with all that in mind, guys, if you like what we're doing here and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you like that. It really helps us out. Rate us on podcasting sources, specifically Apple Podcasts. If you could do that, that'd be great. It helps us out, and we really need it. We've been growing. We just need a little bit more. A little bit more. So with all of that in mind, don't break your backs. Break in the games, but for now, break time's over.
And